This is my custom intro song, Rusty Rabbit. Ahoy everyone, I'm Chris from Rustic Rabbit and welcome back to our channel. If you're new to our channel, we provide guidance for an average family to raise their own meat and grow their own food right in their backyard, and then we teach you to turn it into something truly fantastic. So today, what we're going to start with is a whole frozen rabbit. And whether you got that rabbit from us on our website or at a farmer's market or you got it from someone else, the problem is the same. What do I do with this? This is great. I'm so excited. I want to turn this into one of those really awesome recipes. But gee whiz, I don't know what to do. So what we're going to do today is help you break this down. And just like any time we're cooking with meat, what's the most important thing, boys?
Safety first.
That's right, safety first. So the USDA's website will actually have 3 different ways prescriptively how to get it from that frozen state to a thawed state. But typically we take that frozen rabbit, we put it in the refrigerator the day before, and then we slowly bring it to temperature, and about an hour before we're ready, we'll put it in a cool water bath in the kitchen sink, let it kind of sit for a while, and then when we go to unpackage it, we'll give it one final rinse, and that'll kind of loosen up, work it and loosen up the muscles and get it ready for butchering. You notice the boys are wearing camo this week. It is Veterans Day this week. We wanted to make sure we remember to say thank you to our veterans for all your service and to the families as well, the spouses, the kids, everyone around that service member. It takes a sacrifice from the whole family, so we do appreciate that. Okay, guys, so this is what it takes to break down a rabbit. Now that you've thawed it out, you've rinsed it off, you've loosened it up, you've got it right here, and we're ready on a cutting board. Make sure you have a sharp knife and make sure you're ready to go. Here we go. So the first thing to do to break this down in the most common way is to take the legs off, quarter it, and then you have your saddle, okay? So the first leg in the front here, if you bend it, you can see the shoulder blade kind of kicks out a little bit. You're just gonna cut right behind that, all the way to the front, and it cuts right off, okay? So we're gonna flip it around, do the same thing on the other side. Shoulder blade, right off, okay? So the next easiest thing to do is to put it on its back, where you're looking on the inside. These loins right here, they're delicious, but ultimately, it's easier just to serve the whole thing as a saddle. So right now we want to go for the hind legs. So you splay out the hind legs as much as you can. You'll see it start to tear a little bit. That's quite all right. So ultimately, we want to cut it here and here, but this isn't as easy as the front legs because there is a joint in here that takes some practice to find. So don't get discouraged if you get stuck on it. It does need to look clean. At some point when you cook it, it's all going to render anyway. The easiest way to start, I find, is to cut right here on the pelvis, and you flip it around and you follow the contour. So we'll do that now. Right here. And you can see it has a line that you just want to follow. And then you cut through that joint, and all that's left is this little bone back here that you have to just kind of cut around. But then you have a hind leg. And this is one of the most meatiest parts of the rabbit. This is a great cut of meat. So you do the same thing on the other side. There you go. So now what's left is just the body here, okay? This sternum with the rib cage and all that, there is actually quite a bit of meat right here, but the best way to get that off, quite honestly, is to braise it. If you're slow cooking or something like that, it kind of renders off. If you try to cut it manually, rabbit bones are very small. They break easily, and what you don't want to do is have it in your meat and then you're choking on it or something like that. So I just find it best to leave it on here and either braise it off or take this whole chunk when you've gotten rid of it and use that to make like your broth. Okay, this stomach meat is good too, but just it's a different consistency than the loin would be. And I like there to be a consistent flavor and a consistent feel on my meat when I'm cooking everything. So I actually trim that off. You don't have to, but I just trim it right along the loin. And it is great to do something with. It is good meat. Okay, same thing on the other side. Okay, so easiest way to go from here, you want to get the lowest rib. You can actually see the ribs, okay? Get the lowest rib, you can feel it with your fingers, and just get right behind it and follow your knife all the way till it hits the spine. Okay, and do the same thing on the other side. Right here. Okay, and then once you get to that point, you are at the spine. It's a pivot point. Now what do? Well, there's one of two things. You can either get bone cutters and cut right through it, or you can just simply put your finger right between the vertebrae. You can feel it, and it'll just split just like that. Go the other direction, and now you can cut right through it. Well, I sure made that sound easy, didn't I? But you can. So this area, like I said, the neck, the front shoulders, the back of the front shoulders here, and the rib cage, great for making stock or braising it off. Okay, and the same thing over here. This is the hips. So if you find it, if you flip it over, here's the back with the spine, and here's where the hips start. Okay, you can kind of see the contour of the meat here where we got it from the back legs. And you can feel the bone right there, and you want to cut right behind it. And so you can see now that I cut it, I got my finger right behind that hip bone. You do the same thing on the other side here. Okay, and you can see it kind of did a V, and if I bent it, it would flare out. Okay, like that. And we just want to go ahead and cut that off the same way. Well, that might be something that it is easier for bone cutters for. And that, again, same thing, can be used great for a stock or to braise it off, to get the meat off. Okay, this is your saddle. This is what everyone goes for. It's a great cut of meat. But the problem is, it is quite big. And even though it does shrink when you cook it, a lot of times you'll see people cut it in half or in thirds. I like to cut it in half. So again, you do it the same way you did earlier, or you cut it all the way around to the spine, and now you're at a pivot point. But again, what do you do with that pivot point? You break it, and that way you can cut right through it. So here you go. Let's get rid of this stuff. You have for your stock, you have your saddle, your two hind legs, your two front legs, and then your belly meat. And that's how you break down a whole rabbit. And don't forget to click that subscribe button. That's how you support us as Rustic Rabbit if you want to help us establish this channel and keep going. If this video brought any value to you at all, please make sure to click that. If you have any comments or questions, or you have ideas of other videos you'd like covered, let us know. We'll see what we can do. Once again, thank you for the veterans and your families, and God bless.